So I pre-ordered the MMC Deathsaurus forever ago, and I mean forever ago. Before I even ever started the Patreon, I had this thing paid off. And then it just didn't come out, and it didn't come out, and it didn't come out, and in the meantime, we were getting more and more pictures from MMC about how the figure was turning out, and I kept getting less and less impressed. Looking at all the production shots, I came to the conclusion that the figure looked really bad, which is incredible for me because I love MMC. They are the best third-party company as far as I'm concerned. Their figures are usually near perfect, but everything about what I was seeing was turning me away. I thought the proportions were wacky, the colors were bland and bad, and I didn't like the head in alt mode. So I wound up getting sick of waiting, and I ended up buying the Planet X Deathsaurus instead. I mean, it was a little more expensive, but I thought it looked better, and it was there. And when it showed up, I absolutely loved the figure. I really felt like it was scratching that IDW Deathsaurus itch. I wanted the one caring Decepticon general, and this is what I needed. Incidentally, Deathsaurus is why the argument that IDW ruined all the Japanese characters by making them the worst villains always rang hollow to me. Deathsaurus was just a good dude on the bad guy side in IDW 1. Anyways, after getting the Planet X figure, I sat there for a long time really considering refunding my pre-order. But I kept not doing that because it was already paid off, and it was MMC. I love MMC. Why would I not want one of their figures? But eventually, what convinced me in settling on keeping the pre-order was you guys. I realized that when I had both of them, I could do a comparison and tell you which one was worth it. I don't know that I can call this what's the best, since I'm only covering 2 figures, but at the same time, this is all the figures the IDW version has ever gotten. So I guess let's just call it which is the best. Welcome to Which is the Best. Which is the best IDW Deathsaurus? The Planet X Ismenios is the figure that I've had by far the longest, and it cuts a really impressive silhouette with those absolutely massive wings. This bastard is a shelf hog, and he's the entire reason I'm filming this in the big lightbox, even though it's a pain to use, because with those wings, he takes up about 4 figures worth of space. I have to give him a complete shrine to himself in my display because he will eclipse every figure near him with those wings, preventing them from ever daring to outstage him. It is by far his most prominent feature, that is hilariously optional and removable. But I don't know why you'd choose to do that, because that's like ripping out 1,000 dopeness points. These wings are easily my favorite part about this whole figure's design. I don't need to give him a shrine because of these, I want to give him a shrine because of these. So yeah, this thing looks really cool and accurate, and boy, do I have to say that I was just a big old dumb idiot when I thought the MMC version looked bad. Because getting it in hand, and holy shit, does this thing look cool! I don't normally think of MMC as the guys who make cool-looking figures, more the guys who make figures that look exactly correct and transform and pose excellently. But here, oh fuck, this boy styles. Plus, like always, it's accurate beyond belief. This looks like it jumped off the comic page like almost no other figure. And it wasn't until getting this in hand that I realized what a galumphing dinosaur the Planet X version is. Like, wow, what the hell? It's almost as though I had the wool removed from my eyes. This isn't even close. The Planet X figure is so boxy, disproportionate, and wrong. He looks like if Blaster was doing a bad Deathsaurus cosplay. And I have to say, it's so strange just how different these two are on a coloration front. The Planet X figure in hand is very clearly a white robot with blue accents, whereas the MMC version is absolutely a blue robot with white accents. And the difference in sculpting is insane. Like literally, it makes me question my sanity that I couldn't see just how much nicer the MMC version was on this front. Everything on the Planet X figure is some kind of chunky square. Take the shoulders, for example. They are big rounded rectangles with circles on the outside and 2 spikes. But on the MMC figure, I don't even know what to call this shape. It's like a circle inlaid in a trapezoid with a ziggurat on it. And there's not a straight line or flat surface on this thing because that would be boring. And this figure could not tolerate a single inch of it looking boring. Honestly, I'd say that what we have here is a problem with design intent. While the MMC figure is absolutely pulling an MMC, and they are specifically trying to make this both a G1 and IDW version, the robot mode here is absolutely 100% committing to being IDW, whereas the Planet X is actually ironically the one that's trying to split the difference in robot mode. It wants to pass for both the IDW character and the Japanese G1 character. As a result, a lot of its more stylized qualities have been muted. It's been made chunkier and squarer, so people can try to use it as either version of the character. And the end result is that the only thing on this that looks even 1% as cool as the MMC version is the wings, which are, to be clear, way cooler than the ugly teal and overly simple MMC ones. Unfortunately, these are ratcheted in only the up and down directions, and they are probably about as heavy as the entire rest of the figure, so these wings be floppy. Whereas the MMC wings only move when you make them move. And the heads are just no contest. The Planet X head has always felt off to me. Even when I was drinking the Kool-Aid and thinking the Planet X version was nearly perfect, I couldn't shake the feeling that this isn't right. I didn't quite understand that I was feeling that way, but I did feel that way. It's too rounded, the ears are too flat and blade-like, his neck feels too skinny and insubstantial, the colors just don't pop on it, it's honestly bland looking, every detail just isn't right, and it careens into the uncanny valley. But then you look at the MMC head and just, damn! This might be the coolest Transformers head of all time. You know me, I love me some faceplates and visors, but this makes the case for figures without them. It's so complex and intricate. Everything is made out of harsh angles and threatening lines. The second pair of eyes in his forehead feel a lot more alive and menacing. The head crest looks like a regal crown and not like a fork he slapped onto his forehead, and the gold accents everywhere breathe life into it. People often laugh when I say I'm not one for paint because I always follow up saying that with praises of the paint. But you gotta understand, that's the point. I bring it up because it's an outlier when I see something paint is doing that couldn't be done by a little more work with the plastics. But the paint here is brilliant, it's gorgeous, it takes an already great sculpt and makes it amazing. And in the end, the robot modes aren't even close. I seriously don't know how I didn't see going in that the MMC was the by far better looking one. I guess the production shots just didn't do this thing justice. I showed both versions to my brother and he said the exact same thing I was already thinking. The MMC one looks like it's from the Masterpiece line, while the Planet X looks like an upscaled knockoff of the Chug version. We both came to the same conclusion independently in seconds of seeing the figure. That's how stark the difference is. As for accessories, both come with their little tiger chest piece. Despite the tabs being smaller on the MMC, it actually retains his better, and it's a lot nicer built, though the Planet X does look a lot more like the comic version. They both come with their swords. I don't know why, but MMC often tends to favor these really chunky handles, and this fits like trash in his hands, basically not working because they want to pop out every time, probably due to the paint. But the fingers are strong enough to compensate, and overall I prefer the design of this one. The guard is way cooler and the blade is way more practical, but the paint is pretty easily damaged, as evidenced by the fact that I rubbed some off when I did a stupid OCD man thing and slotted the two swords together tip to tip. I can't remember if the Planet X figure comes with his gun, but I can't find it if it did. And the MMC sure does come with his awful gun flail combo. You can separate the two if you so desire, and the flail pegs into the gun to get out of the way, so really it's more just a fun reference. The MMC also comes with a shield that's an important parts forming piece, and this is a pretty lousy shield, but it is the correct one. Lastly, he comes with some scabbard pieces, one for the sword that plugs into his back, and one for something. And an alternate phase that looks exactly the same and requires a screwdriver to swap. Alternate heads is MMC's Achilles heel. So for accessories, the MMC is winning. It comes with more and it comes with better. Posability is yet another blowout for the MMC. A decent amount more than average on the head for the Planet X, a ton more than average for the MMC in all directions, and you can fake it for a megaton more down. Shoulders on the Planet X pull like 3 degrees more than a 90, the shoulders on the MMC pull maybe 1 degree less than a 90. Significantly less than 90 elbows on the X, significantly more than 90 on the MMC. Advanced hands on the X with a swivel, individual fingers, jerking off action, and mild sword-wielding wrists. Significantly larger hands on the MMC that are almost identically posable, but with one more joint in each finger. This is slightly disappointing because even though it's better, we've seen the MMC do a lot more with hands half this size. Hips on the X kick out to the side just fine, but forwards is slightly impeded and back has issues. There is a mild ab crunch on the MMC, and legs are only slightly impeded going back. Normal 90 knees on the X, significantly more than 90 knees on the MMC, which you can fake for a maximum. Toe down, plus a fake rocker, plus some mild heel adjustment on the Planet X. Toe up, other massive toe up, massive toe down, massive rocker, and a massive heel down on the MMC. Oh, and their wings are pretty much the exact same. This is a slaughter. In every joint that they share, but the shoulders where they are borderline equal, the MMC has more range. And the MMC has lots of joints that the Planet X just doesn't have. So thus far, it's not even been fair. It's been a brutal ass-kicking by the MMC. But here's the thing. When we hit the transformations, the scripts entirely flip. MMC, the company probably known most for having some of the best transformations of all time, put in quite possibly the worst showing from them I've ever seen. There are still some fantastically inventive ideas coming from them here, some stuff I've never seen before, and is weird but works great. Like these little rotating locking pieces. But a lot of this is hard to get your fingers at, and parts of him are pointy as fuck, so you are going to hurt your hands during this process. It's just more frustrating than I'm used to with this company. Plus it parts forms, and the parts forming is really pretty terrible. The tail hates pegging in, it comes unpegged very easily, and even when it is in, it doesn't look the best. While the Planet X one is positively easy to transform, though it is all based around these weird floppy armatures that don't lock in anywhere when in use, and there are like 4 of them, so when you are halfway through the whole thing, it feels like you're handling one of those plastic clacker things. This whole thing just swings about like mad. And then the end result is a complete reversal of the strengths of these figures. The MMC figure is now very blatantly suffering from trying to make this pass for both a G1 and IDW Deathsaurus, and the Planet X one is a near flawless representation of the IDW version. The MMC kind of looks terrible in this mode, coming across like a kaiju chicken, whereas the Planet X version is a cool robot space dragon with massively more posing. The MMC has a little more in the arms, having an extra swivel at the wrists, but the bottom-heavy nature of it really limits how this thing stands. The Planet X figure has more range and segments in the neck, allowing it to take more dynamic poses at the head, and the tail is also likewise more advanced and posable as well. Plus, the longer, more proportional legs really let this guy adopt a whole swath of poses just not available on the MMC. And the wings have become an even more important feature now that they are in this mode. MMC, with its anemic, skeletonized, miscolored drumsticks on his back, looks weak and pathetic, whereas the Planet X is positively majestic. It radiates presence, and it only gets bigger here, whereas the MMC got smaller. So now not only do the wings dominate your shelves, but his stature does as well. So ultimately, this is an incredibly dissatisfying conclusion to come to. But neither of these is the best. Instead, I have to pose the question, what is more important to you? Some people are going to say that IDW Deathsaurus' robot mode is the most important thing. Others will say his beast mode is. Each of these is nailing one of those aspects and completely failing the other. If you want Deathsaurus' robot mode, then buy the MMC. Accept no substitutions. It's more accurate, it looks way cooler, it poses so much better. It's like comparing the masterpiece to a Legends figure. It stands infinitely more easily with a better set of accessories, plus it's cheaper. It's just all around a near perfect package in robot mode. But the transformation is a bit frustrating, and the alt mode would make for a fantastic G1 Deathsaurus, but it's not supposed to be a G1 Deathsaurus. Meanwhile, the Planet X is awful in robot mode. It looks goofy, it's badly proportioned, the head is lame as opposed to the glory of the MMC head, posability sucks, it's not even that it's not as good as the MMC, outside of the hands and head, it's pretty much below average. You wouldn't think a figure with feet that big could have this much trouble standing, but it does, and it truly suffers from trying to ride the line between G1 and IDW, and it really doesn't come with anything to write home about. A sword that the MMC's sword clowns, but the transformation is decent, fun, not confusing, and it doesn't hurt you. And the alt mode is the equivalent of the MMC's robot mode. It is a near perfect IDW representation that looks awesome, poses great, and has tons of presence. Me personally, I'm happy to have both of these. I think the Planet X will forever remain in alt mode, blotting out the light from every figure around him. And I think the MMC will forever remain in robot mode, so he can dance with his wife Esmeralda from the same company. They both got the joints for it. I wish I could give you a definitive answer on which one you should buy. But the sad fact of the matter is that if the MMC didn't botch the beast mode, then it would be that one. It's cheaper and it has more going for it. But the Planet X would always have its wings. And that's not half what I have to say, but it's enough what I have to say. And I know you know what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.